YouTube, what's going on? Happy Thursday night. I'll slide this over just a smidgen. Almost done with the week. I got some cool stuff in the mail today. I'll start with this car. I used to have this car. It's one of the few Auto Worlds that I parted with to help out Champion DJK. I found this for cheap on eBay, so I picked it up. It's from release 1. You can see there is a paint flaw, but still looks really good, and this is the best color this car's come out in my opinion. If only it had those new wheels on it. Anyways, got that. Now we're going to get into the cool stuff. One of the cars that will be shown in this video, the last car, is highly anticipated. I made a couple of eBay purchases. I purchased this. It was really cheap. It's just a little Greenlight. Kind of wish all their cars were packaged like this because it would make storing them so much easier. So this is a plastic base. It's a 2013 Chrysler 300C. And it's a beautiful little casting. For some reason, lately I've just had a weird thing for late model premium detailed stuff. And this one's nice. I mean, it's probably pretty close to as nice as a Kyosho. No stance issue. Metal body, plastic base, rubber tires. It doesn't have lens taillights, but I mean, look at the amount of detail on these taillights. A lot of detail. So, still looks really good. And then as far as the front end goes, I mean, it just doesn't get much better than that. I do have a couple of these. I have the, but they're all black, you know. And sometimes the 1 to 64 scale cars don't look. Sometimes the darker colors hide the detail. So, but I have the one from Breaking Bad. There was a Muscle series release. I just wanted a nice lighter color example of this car, so I picked this one up. It was super cheap. I think I paid like $4. Nice roller. So really cool car. This one here, this is a Motor World Series 9. They didn't release this car very many times, and back in the day, these Motor Worlds were really limited, between 2,000 and 3,000. And I don't buy a lot of Motor World, but this car never was released as a premium car. At least not that I know of. So anyways, I did have to fork out a little bit more for this one. But to me, it was worth it because this is one of those cars that, you know, I've looked for it the last year or so, and sometimes there's not even one listed on eBay, and then other times you'll find them and people will be asking 20, 25. So I paid a lot less than that for this one, but I still paid a fairly decent amount. I think, though, that with Greenlight, their late model Ford catalog is pretty awesome. I mean, I could probably, with all the late model F-150s and the Explorer that I just got and all the Ford Focuses that I have the Taurus, all the cars that I have. I could probably have a little 1:64 scale Ford dealership. So this one's a nice roller. Got a little bit of a wobbly rear axle, but that's okay. Super nice detail. Now, unlike the Chrysler, this one has transparent lens headlights and taillights. It still does have a plastic base. I don't care about that. I almost prefer a plastic base. Especially if having the plastic base meant getting more detail. That's a trade-off I would make every day. Some of the nicest cars in this scale have plastic base. So, anyways, really cool car here. Now, another difference, the Chrysler has a separate piece for the hood, and the Ford Fusion is all part of it. It's all part of the molding. Really cool car, though. It'll display nice. I'm glad to have it. Pretty hard one to find. Okay. So this one here is so badass, and I stumbled upon it purely by accident. I was just scanning through eBay, and I saw this, and it's so eye-catching that it was just an impulse buy. It's not a car that I went onto eBay searching for. So anyways, it's limited to 1968. It came in 2 colors. I only got one. I got the color that I liked the best. It's Racing Champs Mint from round 2. And it's the 10th year anniversary for Hydrohead 34 diecast. So before I show you the car, the back of this thing is awesome. It talks a little bit about the history of the Ford Bronco and kind of what the inspiration for the Bronco was and what it was made to compete with and all that kind of stuff. And then here's a little bit of information on Hydrohead 34. I've never heard of Hydrohead 34, so I might take a little look at that. Anyways, let's take a look at this. Round 2, this is, in my opinion, this is the best Ford Bronco that they've done. Now, they still can't get these axles right, the rear axle. But other than that, it's awesome. And these are relatively easily fixed. I've got a buddy who kind of helps me out giving mine proper stance, because the big issue with this casting is the rear axle. It's got a really droopy ass end, and it looks like it's hauling a load of bricks, although this one is not nearly as bad as some of the other ones, but still noticeable. This is an excellent roller. These are the softest rubber tires I've ever seen on one of these. And I absolutely love this colorway. I love the deco. It's a black rocker panel. And then you've got a black top with the chrome trim. The name of this color is the Bold Metallic Orange. It also was available in a titanium color, which I may get that one at some point. I don't know. But anyways, the color on this thing is, it's just insanely cool. It's like a burnt metallic orange. And there's something about this. Let me grab my other one. let you guys be the judge. Here's the commercial release from Racing Champs. Okay, this is a commercial release, stock version. This one just feels cheaper. But just a little bit more rattle to it. This one just feels far more solid. So this is an awesome casting. There's a ton of detail on it. If it wasn't for the wheels and tires, the body on this thing with all the detail is pretty incredible for a 1/64 scale car. That's why if you can do a wheel swap and a little bit of a lift on this thing, they look really, really good. And I have a video that'll be coming up where I'll be showcasing that. But it's a really good casting to start with. And this one's going to be the same way. Although I'm not really sure what I want to do yet with this one, because it doesn't seem nearly as bad as the other one that I have. It's definitely a much nicer looking, I think. I think it's a much nicer looking deco. So you still get all the detail on the front end with the, you get the grille detail, the headlights, the indicators. You get that black plastic molding across the bumper, which you got all those details with the commercial releases as well. You do get an opening hood. It's nice engine detail. The side markers are detailed. All of these details have occurred on every round 2 release of this truck. One of the details that is going to be different though is the tailgate, because this tailgate is a solid color, whereas with this one you get the the little chrome panel. So the only thing I wish they had done differently with this is put a spare tire on the tailgate. I think that would have looked killer. But I really like the way the black rocker panel looks with this bold metallic orange is what they call it. So very, very cool. I'm stoked to have this. I don't think too many people know about this casting. I've never seen it. I'm going to post it up to Instagram. Nobody really knew about the Bishop Land Cruiser, and then I posted that up, and then now it's everywhere. They're selling for $100 now for the regular, and that price continues to climb, which is just weird. It's just a really hard one to get. So who knows what will happen with this one. I know the Bronco's not nearly as desirable as the Land Cruiser, but if there was a Racing Champs Ford Bronco to have, to me, this is the one to get. So, really dig it. Now, the last car here. Oh, this thing is so sick. I have been so looking forward to this. This car was announced last summer or fall, late summer, early fall. Greenlight made this announcement. And I marked my calendar May of 2018, and the time has finally come, and it was actually released on time. There's been a lot of delays with this kind of stuff from Greenlight. But here you go, guys. In hand from Greenlight, the 1968 Datsun 510. Greenlight Series 19. Very highly anticipated. I have been so stoked to get this car. I've been a little bit nervous because of how bad the 240Z was. But the R34 is okay. But anyways, we're going to take this out and we're going to take a look at it. and we're going to compare it to some other 510s. I have to tell you, in the package, it looks fantastic. It actually looks really, really, really good. Wow. So here's the base of the car. And here's the car. That looks really good. No stance issue on this car. That was my biggest concern. I love that it's a left-hand drive North American model. I love that the stance is spot on. I love that. And I love the fact that it's a two-door. Because so much of the time we get four doors from all these companies that make these cars. And what's more is that it's super, super rare to get one of these cars with this level of detail that has an opening hood. So let's take a look around this car here. Now, the front end on this is very different than what we're going to see with the Tokyo Torque Series 2. Those are coming out in about a month. Those are going to show more detail on the front end. But with this being Black Bandit, everything is murdered out. That's the theme of the car. But you can still see a lot of really, really, really nice detail. But in the next release of Tokyo Torque 2, all these front end details will be drawn out and you'll get a better look at them at that time. Really, what I'm wanted to look at with this car is how are the proportions and how is the stance, because those were the huge issues with the Datsun 240Z. I don't see any of those issues with this car. The base is spun proper. It's not like the R34s where you get a little bit of a gangster lean to it. Wow, the hood just opens right up. Really nice engine detail. Closes up so nice. Very nice joints on that. I don't know if you guys can see this on camera with the lighting, but there is a little bit of a ghost tempo going on with the Brock Racing graphics. We'll get back to that though. Here's the back end, and yes, we do have transparent lens taillights. God, that looks so killer. I love it. I thought that the M2 was going to be tough to beat, but I think Greenlight might have done it. I think they might have done it. It certainly feels more substantial to the touch than the M2 does. It's a really nice rolling car. I just love this little car. I couldn't be happier. I'm just so thrilled with the car. I love it. I do want to reserve some judgment though until I see a different deco, because the only problem with the Black Bandit deco is that it's going to hide everything. And so until we see a lighter colorway, this is all we're going to have to judge. I have to tell you guys though, the car looks great in person. Not really sure how it's showing up on camera, but in person this thing looks fantastic. Alright, so I got some other premium detailed 510s out just so we can kind of compare. So here's the M2. Now the M2 is a four-door, and you have to keep in mind that M2, for this particular model, they modified the base to give it a lower stance. I don't know that Greenlight will do that, but whether or not they do it's not important to me, because I'm happy with the stock stance. I don't think that they really screwed it up at all. And another thing to note with this Greenlight car is how true to scale the casting is. The car is absolutely tiny for a Greenlight diecast car, but they have kept it true to scale. You guys all know how small the M2s are. Look at, here's your side-by-side Greenlight to M2. Now it is important to note that the M2 is a 4-door and the Greenlight is a 2-door. But the scale and the proportions really do look spot on. Another thing that they really, looks like they really got right is the width of the car. The 510 is a very narrow car. That's why I'm not a huge fan of the Hot Wheels, because it really looks nothing like a 510. The silhouette of it kind of resembles a 510, but at any other angle of that car, it looks nothing like a 510 to me. But Greenlight, I think, has done a really good job. M2 did a really good job capturing it with this casting. My only gripe with M2 has always just been their quality level. You know, every time you pick it up, something falls off of it, and that's my big complaint with M2. You're not going to have that issue with Greenlight. This is a very substantial car. It feels very substantial. Probably the only one I have that feels more solid is the Tomica Limited Vintage. So the next one we'll look at is a Daido. Or I'm sorry, not Daido. This is Konami. But again, it's another 4-door. Now this one has some suspension. You don't get that with any of the other brands except for Tomica Limited Vintage. On this car, the front grille assembly with the headlights it's basically an insert. You insert the lens headlights into the grille insert, and then you insert the grille into the front of the car. And it makes for a nice look, but you got to be careful with that because it can cause problems. It looks like that might be the same case with the M2, although this one doesn't have lensed headlights. And the Greenlight also doesn't have lensed headlights, but they do have lensed taillights. The M2 doesn't have lensed headlights or lensed taillights. It's all painted. Actually, I take that back. It does have lensed taillights. It does have lensed taillights. So Greenlight went kind of the same route as M2 as far as that goes. The more premium brands from Japan, like Konami and Kyosho, which I don't think Kyosho ever even did a 510, but Tomica, they are going to have lens headlights and taillights. But they're also 5 times the price. So there's your lensed taillights. And again, it's just chrome insert. These are actually not lens, these are tampoed. But when you do it that way, you got to be careful because it can either make for a really nice look or it can make for a really messy look. And in this case, I think it looks good. It looks pretty good, but it looks nothing compared to this one here. These are for sure lensed. This is probably the highest detailed, highest quality 510 that you can get in the scale. They have a whole bunch of different colorways, so it really doesn't matter which color you get. They're all going to have the same level of detail. But again, it's another 4-door. So there's a common theme with all of these 510s, including the Matchbox 510, which I didn't get out for this video. So this is your Tomica Limited Vintage. This is a pretty expensive car. I think this car can be had for about $50. It's come down a little bit. It used to be 60 to 70. This one here is a Dido. It is sold as a model kit. This one is very hard to find. It's not the most expensive car here, but it is easily the hardest one to find. Very rarely shows up on eBay. There is one on eBay right now, and it's this one. I have this posted for sale. It's $25 shipped in the Continental 48, and I'm not going to take any offers lower than that. So if it sells, it sells. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. This one is a little bit different because it doesn't really have lensed headlights. They're jeweled headlights, kind of like those old Impy cars. So jeweled headlights and then painted taillights. Still a really nice detailed little car though. But I have to say, I don't think I could be any happier with this Greenlight Datsun 510. I've been very nervous about it. You know, I wasn't really nervous about it until the 240 came out, and then it's just weird how when that car came out, I got really nervous about all of the castings, all of their new toolings that they started putting out. And they've all been great. I mean, the Gran Torinos look great. The Ford GT is insanely cool. The Vandura is ridiculous. I mean, they're smashing every casting. That's why it kind of baffles me that that 240Z, it's like the dude that works there was like backed up, and he handed that one off to his neighbor and said, "Hey man, help me out and design this car for me. I need it by the end of the day." And then that guy passed it off to his 12-year-old, and so we got what we got. That's what it seems like to me. It just doesn't seem like it was done by a professional. But it's the only car in their tooling catalog that I really have issues with. I'm going to try to see on this car. There is a Brock graphic. I don't know how I can get the light on it. My camera's not great. Black Bandit, and then there's those Brie Racing stripes you can see. So the car is satin black, and then those stripes go down. They're like ghost tampos. This is a new wheel tooling too. Not the same wheels that we saw on the 240. They look similar, but they're not the same. And then there's the back end. It just looks phenomenal. It looks great. The front end is the only thing that I think is a little lackluster, but like I said at the beginning, I'm going to reserve judgment on that until I see the Brie Racing one. That's the one that's really going to show the amount of detail. But awesome, awesome car. I'm super happy to have it, and I'm super happy with the result. So well done, Greenlight. You came through on this one. I was worried about it, but y'all came through. So with that said, just kind of run this by one more time. Some awesome die-cast haulage today with the super highly detailed Chrysler 300, that second-gen Ford Bronco, this awesome Ford Fusion, and of course the Datsun 510. I've got a couple of the club cars. This is going to be the Greenlight club car casting. It has a Paul Newman style deco on it. I've got a couple of those on order. So as soon as those show up, because those might show up before the Tokyo Torque. So whenever they show up, I'll do a video showing those. But anyways, there you go. We're at a half hour. You guys all have a great Friday. Happy hunting. Please leave your thoughts and questions below. Please don't cry if I don't respond to your comments. And I'll holler at you guys at the next video.